Assalamu alaikum. Azam Shajim, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Maria, can you read this, please? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maria,
Yes,
can you read this?
sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. The second awesome condition, this age. In former times, compared with the present, there was very little absolute disbelief or misguidance arising from science, or the disbelief arising from perverse obstinacy. The instruction of the Islamic scholars of those times and their arguments were therefore sufficient, quickly dispelling any unbelief arising from doubts. Belief in God was general, and they could persuade most people to give up their misguidance and wrongdoing through teaching them about God and reminding them of hell fire. But now there are 100 absolute disbelievers in one small town instead of perhaps one in a whole country. Those who lose their way due to science and learning and obstinately oppose the truths of belief have increased 100-fold in relation to former times. With pride like that of the Pharaoh and their terrible misguidance, these obdurate deniers oppose the truths of belief. A sacred truth is therefore much needed that will completely destroy the basis of their disbelief in this world, like an atom bomb, and will halt their aggression and bring some of them to belief. I'll pause here. Just a little background. We're reading from page 643 of the book. Which one is this?
Raise.
What's that?
Raise.
The race. Okay,
The
so
15th ray. You see it here? Yeah, the 15th ray.
okay, so thank you. We're on the 15th ray,
Yeah.
page 643.
And to add on, this is the second condition. First one was the life of this world, which we are basically, he said that one of the condition was we are loving this life in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the second one. About, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so just thank you for a little bit recapping on the first condition, where, yeah, I mean, we all find ourselves loving this world. And now I think with everything prevalent, everything accessible at our disposition, I mean, I look at young people, it's just about instant gratification, not thinking much about what this life points to, just trying to get your things done, and that's pretty much it, and move on from one endeavor to another without thinking of really what this existence points to. And because here in the piece that was read, the author mentioned as opposed to former times, and if you compare it now, you see disbelief to be more prevalent. And yeah, I agree with that, because we get hooked on to what we see within our immediate circles, peers, social media. I mean, these are things we are surrounded with. Unfortunately, some of the young people live in it. Social media can be a great tool, but it's also putting a hindrance into young minds, so they can question really what the reality of this universe is. Hence, the rise of disbelief, as based on what the author is talking about. If we were to compare it to back in the day, small town, you would hear and listen to people more than now. There's so many distractions out there to busy oneself with. So just wanted to share this.
Thank you, Fariha. What is this objective list? Disbelief, right? Because right now, what are we doing with this? There's no one who can believe right now. What is that? So I had some questions about what is the belief in God was general before, and now it's not general anymore. So two things. I don't think everybody believes something right now. Although, I mean, maybe science or maybe trying to believe, like, maybe science is trying to tell us that something else is what is going on. Anybody else wants to share what they want to say? Yeah, go ahead. Brother Ali.
Questions are really valuable questions. One of them was this absolute disbelief. The other, let's say one by one. Absolute disbelief doesn't mean that perfect, a belief which is not perfect. No, as long as one is, or let's talk it in terms of a person. As long as one is on the side of belief, there are endless degrees that no one can come to the end anyways. But absolute disbelief is total rejection of the fact that the universe has been created or needs to be created. Total rejection. No, it happens by itself. So this absolute disbelief, there was a little maybe among some people previously. Yeah, but now there is absolute disbelief. People say, I believe in God, I believe in nature, I believe in evolution, there is no God, we don't need God, or these claims are everywhere. So accordingly, we have to present the Quranic teaching to the people. Knowing that absolute disbelief is widespread in the society. But of course, while we are speaking to believers, we have to be careful that we should not treat them as if they are following the absolute disbelief. But look, the danger is coming, and it is very coming fast, generation by generation. Prepare yourself how to respond to this absolute belief waves, then the flood is really covering everywhere, this absolute disbelief flood. Prepare yourself. Otherwise, it doesn't mean that you are denying. When we say, why do we believe in God? What is the reason for it? Let's talk about it. It means let us establish a sound base for our belief, so that we are always challenged in the social media, and social media is everywhere now. You cannot really protect yourself, your friends, your children, your generations. You cannot protect from them. So get ready for it. That is why we have to teach what the foundations of belief are. The second one was...
So, Brother Ali, is atheism on the rise still, you think?
Sorry?
Atheism is still on the rise, do you think, right now?
Yeah.
Atheism.
Yeah, I understand, yes. But then what is really very wide among the new generation? Agnosticism. I don't care. But atheism sometimes is hidden behind humanism. That is really like a secret atheism. What does it mean? Human beings may follow or may decide to follow, prefer to follow their human senses. But claiming that I own it, there may be a creator, none of my business. That is the attitude. But the universe may have a creator, none of my business, but I don't need religion. I don't need a prophet. Somebody will present God's intention to me, God's will to me, God's teaching to me. No, I am self-sufficient. That is just egocentric atheism. But there are some people, let alone believing in God, on accepting what there may be a creator, so no, there is no creator, and I will do as I want, not according to the requirements of my human feelings, but according to the requirements of my self-egocentric desires. So I must oppress people. I must really declare my superiority over them. I must exploit them as much as possible. That is the only word. Before I die, I should really make the most of this worldly life. These are not majority. But these extreme cases are not majority. But what is majority nowadays, as I said, I understand, not bluntly declaring that there is no God, but replacing religion with self-satisfaction, not self-satisfaction, self-confidence. I am enough for myself. I don't need anybody to tell me. What does it mean? I don't need any prophet to teach me what my creator is asking me to do, so that I will put my creator's will into my life. That is why absolute disbelief among the common people, no. But generally people are agnostic. Those people who really think and try to take care of themselves may be disguising themselves under the humanism, but they are not aware that they are depriving themselves of their own reality, that these senses don't belong to them. They are given to them, but only free will is there in the nature of human beings, that I can either use them in order to understand and realize who my creator is, so act in his name, or don't refer to a source of existence and practice it as my own action. As my own action. This is what we have to be very careful. So while even we see some people who are propagating belief in God and certain religion, they may, under the, I mean, with a good intention, definitely, under the, how do you say, banner of we are human beings, we have to follow our human beings, but in our name or in their name, without specifying it. That is then also an interesting point that we have to watch out. We have to always give the idea or present the idea that, look, the universe needs a creator. Yeah, it is very difficult to deny it, but don't leave God outside of the universe, outside of your life, your personal life. God must be within your personal life. That is why we have to say your feelings need to be created. You have to acknowledge who can be the creator, search for it, acknowledge the creator. Creator is the one who created the whole universe. So the creator of the whole universe must be brought into your practical life. He is the one, the one who created my feelings, and I have to use my feelings, not appropriating to myself, but assigning them to their real owner, God. So when you do something good, don't claim it on yourself, so that I am good one. Everybody should admire me. Stop. Everybody should admire your creator, not you. These are the where we can really see what is going on if we pay attention to these points, as far as I can see. Thank you.
Thank you. And what about the other question? Belief in God was general before and not now? Because I think belief is personal these days to everyone.
You are taking belief. The word belief is an atheist believes that nature creates me. Not in this sense. Believe in God, the absolute creator, the one who created the universe, source of existence of the universe. That is why we keep saying that we don't usually use the word God in our discussions, let alone Allah. We don't usually use God. We say source of existence of the universe, source of existence of everything. Why? Because as the Quran describes, Allah is the Rabbul Alameen. If we don't see Allah and really describe it as the Rabbul Alameen, the Lord, owner, creator, everything, administrator, master of the whole universe, then our belief in God may be thrown away from the universe, out somewhere there, and I have nothing to do with him in my life. No, Rabbul Alamin is the creator, the source of existence of yourself, your senses, your mind, your intellect, your free will. They have owners. You are not owners. You are just really users or beneficiaries given to you. That's it. Consumers. I think that's why belief in God is not the general way that I believe in, I don't know, for example, people use nowadays mostly, I believe in evolution. That is not mentioned here, that is not meant here as far as I can see. But either I misunderstood your question, or if I understood rightly, then we have to emphasize belief in God, which is the source of existence of the whole universe. Yep.
If I can take a stab at answering Asim's question, I think it is saying that back in the days, it was easy to accept that, yes, the universe must have a creator. Yes, I'm created, so I must have a source of existence. But now it's challenging because of all the type of innovations around us. So it's really, it may be in our background, like, yeah, the universe must have a creator, but like really, not so what? With all the advances and everything that even human beings are producing, I feel belief in God, yeah, obviously will go outside the picture. I mean, I can even speak for myself too. Sometimes if you're reading up something, somebody's sharing something, it's so mesmerizing, everything that's being created or happening, or all these innovations, scientific advancements and technology out there. But then if you bring in the element of, wait, how's the phenomenon happening, how is the process really happening, then yeah, you can take away the whales, the causes, and then get to belief in God. That's how I understood Asim's question, which makes sense to me, because the way it's said here, belief in God was general, like we're talking about in former times, right? And they could persuade most people to give up their misguidance and wrongdoing. Like there won't be much arguing over anything. Now, it will be easily acceptable, but like with everything out there now, I'm sorry, like how, like with everything out there, like it's really, like Brother Ali was saying that, who are you to tell me about religion? I'm self-sufficient on my own, or whatever I'm doing by myself, that's good enough. So because of that, it's really hard to persuade anybody. It's hard. We've become like really frozen ice. It's hard to break the ice to get into even having a conversation with someone. I mean, that's pretty much how I understood it.
Yeah, thank you. So I was wondering, so the presentation before was not necessary, like in terms of to believe in God or belief aspects. The same teaching about God and reminding them of hellfire, that was enough for some time before.
I would say yes,
I
because
don't
it's
think so,
becoming
but
it's becoming very challenging. Even personally, for myself too, like a decade ago, and like it's really challenging now. Unless if I'm not surrounding myself with people who talk about belief in God, it's really hard. And I mean, I didn't even grow up in a like religious household. Like, if something happened, religion happened, like really after even college. So just imagine that part. I would say it's hard to convince people now, even young people, I would say. Maybe a few thinking one, but other than that, I think perhaps it must have been easier before.
thank you. Any other comment by anyone? All right. Maria, would you like to continue?
Yes. So second paragraph, again, those of you who joined us in, we're reading from the 15th ray, page 643. All praise be to Almighty God, that with its many comparisons, as the perfect remedy for the wounds of this time, The Risale-i Nur, a miracle of the Quran of miraculous exposition, proceeding from its effulgence, has routed even the worst of those obdurate deniers with the diamond sword of the Quran. Its proofs and arguments to the number of the atoms of the universe, demonstrating divine unity and the truths of belief, show that in 25 years it has not been defeated in the face of the severest attacks, but has itself prevailed and been victorious. Yes, with its comparisons of belief and unbelief, and guidance and misguidance, the Risale-i Nur proves those truths self-evidently. Yes, with its comparisons of belief and unbelief, and guidance and misguidance, the Risale-i Nur proves those truths self-evidently. If note is taken, for example, of the proofs and flashes of the second station of the 22nd word, the first stopping place of the 32nd word, the windows of the 33rd letter, and the 11 proofs of the staff of Moses, Asai Musa, it will be understood that it is the truths of the Quran manifested in the Risale-i Nur that will smash and destroy absolute disbelief and perverse misguidance at this time. In the same way that the parts of the Risale-i Nur which solve the greatest mysteries of religion and the riddles of this world's creation have been collected together in the mysteries collection till similar Muasi. The pieces which describe the hell in this world of the people of misguidance and the paradise-like pleasures of the people of guidance, and show that belief is like a seed of paradise, while unbelief is a seed of the Zakum tree of hell, will be put together in a small collection, God willing, and published. Said Nursi. So I think it does answer also your query earlier, Asim, about is it more challenging now? Was it easier before to prove belief in God? I think as long as one is paying attention to the speech of God, or pretty much what even Said Nursi is offering in his reflections on his understanding of the word of God, then then it can save spirits, it can save souls. Definitely it can save lost soul. I mean, it should benefit at least. It doesn't matter what walk of life one is coming from, doesn't matter your background. I mean, it does help anyone make sense of things, and that's pretty much what I have to share. But let's see what others have to say.
Thank you. Any other comments?
When we talk about this belief in the is like a seed of paradise, while unbelief is a seed of the zakkum of hell, zakkum tree of hell.
That's good piece to look into. I think if one was to connect the experiences in this existence to be a place where we're sowing a seed for something eternal, then this statement that he's mentioning here, or if you may want to call it as an allegory, would make sense. So belief being a sort of enlightenment to my spirit towards an awareness of my existence, that this universe must have a creator and I must have a source of existence, and my existence is not bound to what I experience here, but it points to something eternal. Then this understanding leads to sowing a tree of eternal goodness, versus unbelief. If I just take of this universe at its face value, then I'm sowing the seed of nothingness, which will be eternal annihilation, if you will. And that's all I have to share. Thanks.
Can we also add to this explanation? We are mostly inclined to show the reason for belief in God in the external world. It means here in the universe. You know, look at the creation of that, look at the creation of this. But we also add to this conclusion, of course, there must be a conscious creator. There must be a conscious source of existence who is preferring the existence. Otherwise, the things cannot come into existence by themselves or by any other part of this universe. So that is fine, but it must be added that I find myself is neglecting this part. When I conclude that the universe must have a creator, I have to bring it to my own life now. So I have a creator. And believing in creator, how I experience in my, if you like, spiritual world, means in my feelings. How do I experience it? How can I really evaluate the value of belief with my feelings? What do they say? So we have to come and do a sort of internal reflection within ourselves. Look, oh, there are two options for me now. I have an owner who is the owner of the creator, who is the owner of the universe. And how do you feel now? Do you really feel satisfied, or do you feel miserable that you are not satisfied? The opposite is there is no creator, there is no conscious creation, acts of creation. We are just the results of accidents, etc. That is what they say. Natural things by themselves, instinctive. Okay, how do you feel now? I think this argument, if we bring the belief into our internal world and evaluate it or make it a subject of evaluation by our feelings, it becomes much, much, much more clear that belief is appropriate to human feelings. Disbelief is really rejected fundamentally, radically by, again, human feelings. So belief is really for human beings. Unbelief is just to be rejected, an option which is to be rejected. In order to do this, we have to always think of the results within ourselves. But some people claim, because they know that this really works 400%. It is really the remedy of human psychological problems. Now, why some people want to run away from it? They know that it really works. Even looking for the evidence, signs in the outside world, it means this external physically existent world, it is much more clear for human beings and easy to understand that belief is very human, unbelief is, disbelief is inhuman or unhuman. I always confuse this. Not human. Now, we have to pay attention to this. That is why materialist people are very quick to come to this conclusion. Human wishes. Turn the human feelings into wishes, which is learned from outside, not natural within me. Now, diverting the subject now. And because we like to have a God, to have a paradise in the future, that is why we just run after it. It has no reality. We have to be brave to accept our reality. There is no such thing. Look, imposition started now. Really, imposition started now. We should leave them aside, don't listen to them, and go rationally according to scientific, physical fact. It means the things themselves. We have to understand this trick, and we have to say, everyone looks for permanent satisfaction. Do you think everyone is learning from each other? Even those people, I have nothing to do with it, and I was born, I want, even as a child, I want everything to happen as I want. One of the examples is this. We were with the children, we were going through the marketplaces, where the shopping centers are. There was at that time shopping centers, but now where the markets are usually concentrated in the city center. So we were there and we were passing by a toy shop. So our kids were very young, some were 3, 4 years old, the eldest. We asked the eldest, so we wanted to make her feel free, happy. So come on, go and get whatever you want in this toy shop, and we will buy for you. He looked at it, here and around, and what she said, so interesting. She said, Daddy, I want everything here. That is human. She didn't learn it. No one really taught her or presented her that everything in the shop will be brought into the house. It is fitri that we always want endless satisfaction. Endless satisfaction. It is human nature. And also these atheist people, those people who deny, we have to bring this subject into the discussion or argumentation if we are arguing with somebody, of course, in a nice way. Otherwise, argumentation brings no benefit. But if we are talking about this subject with somebody, did you do recently a shopping? Yes. What did you buy? I bought some grapes, example. So were there many types of grapes? Yes. Which one did you buy? The best one. The price was okay as well. Why did you prefer the best one? Did you learn from somebody, or it is your natural inclination? It means the way you are created. Of course, everybody goes and wants to buy the best fitting dress. According to the price, of course, we will evaluate it. This dress is the best for my price or for my budget. Again, the best, always within our capacity of our budget. Look, in practical life, everybody practices it, and these atheist people really deliberately try to discard it. If someone speaks about human spiritual satisfaction, they just start frowning. What is human satisfaction? There are scientific facts out there. We should not be carried away with this cleverly put forward play of the atheistic minds, because they know that they cannot really deny this human reality. We are created for belief in the absolute creator. Our senses are always really craving for it, crying out for it. We have to emphasize on it more, inshallah, which I, in my life, neglect to bring into the discussion. Any discussion mentioned or went around belief in God, how legitimate, how reasonable it is, must end up with this last sentence that highlighted on the screen. Paradise, like pleasure of the. So the belief is like a seed of paradise, while unbelief is a seed of hell. This must be our main principle, inshallah. If you are my friend, so while we are talking, if anybody neglects this aspect of belief, we have to remind each other, inshallah. I will be very happy if I am reminded, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a very good reminder. And I like the question, how can I evaluate disbelief in God within myself? That's the challenge. We need to work on this, inshallah, with every transaction experience that we are going through. And also, yes, I think at the end of the day, our senses are always looking for an absolute source of existence, for an eternal one. Yeah, so from the question of how can I evaluate disbelief in God within myself, to concluding our senses are always crying for an absolute creator, we must do the groundwork, the investigation, inquiry within ourselves to be sowing seed of paradise, inshallah. And thank you for the reminder, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, thank you. So what I got was belief is like fitri, innate within us. We need to remind that to ourselves, inshallah. That's what we like.
Good one, actually. Belief is within us, so it needs to be cultivated then. The seed is there.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah, you're right. So we need to look for the source of existence, the best perfection, source of perfection.
Mm-hmm. Alhamdulillah.
Any other comment by anyone? Okay, I think the next few pages are some personal of the author's notes of the risale-i Nur. I think in his defense.
Maybe the second one, we can read it. So there are some points, it is good to hear. Otherwise, as you said,
Okay.
some of, private personal experiences.
Okay, inshallah. Maria, you want to start?
Okay, Bismillah. Page 644 of the 15th ray.
I think I meant, this is, I don't know whether it is something to do with, for us to pay attention to. But the following one, which starts in his name be he glorified, the powerless brother of yours says. Maybe, but read it if there is a
Oh,
point.
this one.
Yeah.
Okay, what page this is on? Page 645. Got you. Okay. All right, page 645, the 15th ray. In his name be he glorified, this powerless brother of yours says this both to that old friend who objected, and to the attentive, and to yourselves. Through the effulgence of the Quran of miraculous exposition, the new side puts forward proofs of the truths of belief so logical and correct that they compel not only the Muslim scholars, but also the most obdurate European philosophers to submit. And this they do. As for the signs and allusions of the Quran of miraculous exposition, from the level of its elusive meanings, attracting attention to the risale-i Nur, which is one of its miracles at this time. It is a mark of the Quran's miraculousness, similar to the elusive and symbolic prophecies of Imam Ali, may God be pleased with him, and Ghasal Azam, may God be pleased with him, concerning the risale-i Nur's importance and value. To do so is also necessitated by the miraculous eloquence of that tongue of the unseen. To do so is also necessitated by the miraculous eloquence of that tongue of the unseen. What does that mean? Question mark. Yes, it was important to me in Eskişehir prison at a terrible time when we were in dire need of a sacred solace. You cite the saints of olden times as testifying to the risale-i Nur's acceptability, but in accordance with the inner meaning of the verse, nor anything fresh or dry, green or withered, but is inscribed in a record clear. Quran, section 6, verse number 59. It is the Quran that should have the word in this matter. Does it find the risale-i Nur acceptable? How does it look on it? I was faced with this strange question. So I sought help from the Quran, and within the space of an hour, I perceived that the risale-i Nur was one element of the level of elusive meanings of 33 verses, from the level constituted by details of their explicit meanings, and included in the generality of the elusive meanings, and that there were powerful inferences to its inclusion and distinction. A part of these I saw in some detail, and a part I saw in summary form. In my view, no doubt, hesitation, suspicion, or misgiving remained. And I wrote that firm conviction of mine with the intention of strengthening the faith of the believers through the risale-i Nur, and I give it to my closest has brothers on condition it was held to be confidential. In the treatise, we do not say that this is the explicit meaning of the verse, lest the Hojas say, he has been smitten by the evil eye, and we do not say this in the generality of the elusive meaning. We say that underlying the explicit meaning are numerous layers or levels, one of which is the elusive and symbolic meaning, and that the elusive meaning is a generality. Every century, this has particularities. In this century, the risale-i Nur is one element, and the generality of that level of its elusive meaning. Inferences drawn by means of the principles of Jafar and numbers, practiced since early times by the ulama, indeed proofs show that that element is intentionally held in view and will perform an important function, and this does not harm the verse of the Quran or its clear meaning, but serves its miraculousness and eloquence. One who cannot deny the innumerable deductions made by the people of reality from Quranic allusions should not deny this, and no one can deny it. I have no idea what's
Yeah,
what I'm reading.
we
Should I
can, we can just read and see if there is something we can talk about it.
Okay. However, if the person who out of amazement deems it unlikely that such an important work should appear at the hand of an insignificant person like myself, thinks of the creation of a pine tree the size of a mountain out of a seed the size of a grain of wheat as being a sign of divine power and grandeur, he's surely bound to say that the appearance of this work at such a time of intense need from someone as absolutely impotent and wanting as myself is evidence for the vast extent of divine mercy. By the honor of the risale-i Nur, I assure you and those who object that these allusions and symbolic predictions and indications of the saints always drove me to offer thanks and praise and to seek forgiveness for my sins. I can prove to you through the glimpses you have had of my life under your very eyes these 20 years that at no time, not even for a minute, did they inflate my ego. Wow. And make my evil commanding soul proud and arrogant. Mashallah. Nevertheless, man is not free of fault or forgetfulness. I have numerous faults of which I'm not aware. Also, perhaps my own ideas crept in, and there are some errors in some of their treatises. But since they do not object to the false and corrupting interpretations of the people of misguidance, screened by setting up man-made translations in place of the sacred letters of the Quran, in the deficient letters of the new Latin script, and their harming the clear meanings of verses, they surely should not object to someone wretched and persecuted expounding a fine point of the Quran's miraculousness in order to strengthen the belief of his brother, to the extent of discouraging him in his service of belief. As not only the people of reality, anyone with even a grain of fairness would agree. In addition, I say this, in the face of the awesome attacks of misguidance at this time, the powerful, true ways, paths, and tariqats with millions of devoted followers have been apparently defeated. But a semi-literate person under constant surveillance living opposite the police station, who is alone and the object of a many-side campaign of slander in order to make everyone execrate him, cannot lay claim to the risale-i Nur, which is more advanced than those other ways and has resisted the attacks more strongly. And that work cannot be the product of his skill, and he cannot take pride in it. It has rather been bestowed directly by divine mercy as a miracle of the all-wise Quran at this time. He laid hands on that gift of the Quran together with thousands of his friends. For sure, the duty of chief interpreter fell to him, but evidence that It is not the work of his thought. It is not the work of his thought. Knowledge and intelligence is that in the risale-i Nur are parts which were written in 6 hours. Subhanallah. Others that were written in 2 hours, others in 1 hour, and some in 10 minutes even. I swear that even with the power of memory of the old side, may God be pleased with him, intending it to be a prayer, some of the scribes wrote the phrase, may God be pleased with him, after this wretched side's name. I'm reading the footnote. I wanted to change it, but it occurred to me that since it is a prayer seeking God's pleasure, it should not be interfered with, so I did not change it. So with my own thought, I could not write in 10 hours what was written in 10 minutes. With my own mind and capacity, I could not write in 2 days the treatise that was written in an hour. And neither myself nor the most exacting religious philosopher could research the matters of the 30th word and write it in 6 days, although it was written in 1 day in 6 hours, and so on. That is to say, despite being bankrupt, I am the herald and servant of a wonderfully rich jeweler's shop. Out of his grace and munificence, may Almighty God make us and all risale-i Nur students purely and sincerely constant in this service and give us success. Amin. In veneration of the Lord of Messengers, Said Nursi. 1,000 times Amin. That is the end.
Korea. Brother Ali, go ahead.
Thank you. Just one point, but it was too late. In the previous, page 646. Yep, here. However, if a person who, out of amazement, deems it unlikely that. When you look at the risale-i Nur, and especially some really scholarly written books, not like the books we are reading, which are usually written for common people, but his own scholarly books are really amazing. But he's not a professor. He's not academically famous. And also he is regarded as, in Turkish context, we have to understand that if somebody came from backward nation, which are called that time Kurds, he was a Kurd, born into a Kurd family. So how this man can say this, can write all this? There must be just really confusions or something, making up. The same claim, of course, the example or this similarity should not be misunderstood, made against the prophets as well. You are saying that we have to follow you. Who are you? You are just mostly shepherds. You have received no education at all. This obvious historical narration about Jesus and Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon them, made the same thing. So you are claiming that the Jewish scholars, rabbis accused Jesus that you are teaching here in the temple. Who are you? And you are saying that the Torah has been corrupted by these rabbis. You haven't received any education. You don't know, but you are speaking too big. They couldn't understand, and they couldn't even pay attention to what he says. The same thing happened to the Prophet Muhammad, alayhi salatu wassalam. They said, who are you? Are we going to follow this orphan peasant? What the word is, shepherd? No, but they didn't take it seriously, so that they didn't pay attention how scholarly it was done, because it is written, these books are written for general public to teach the really spirit of the Quran. That is why they discarded the risale-i Nur as a serious material that they can seriously examine it and see it. He didn't have any title, academic title. He didn't have any status. It was regarded as, he was regarded as an immigrant from Kurdistan to Istanbul, or western part of the Anatolia. So he was under state surveillance, because he may influence Kurdish people and lead them for rebellions against the Turkish Republic. He has no power to do that, and how insignificant person he is. Why should I bother to read it? Because the certain scholars, most of the scholars of that time, really did not take the risale-i Nur and his methodology that we find amazing to understand the Quran seriously. That's why they just ignored it. Oh, somebody says that I am a great man, or who cares, who are you? The same thing happened in his life as well to him, as it happened to the prophets. That is why we have to know that if somebody says something, first we have to learn, we have to listen. How valuable it is. Is it really worth paying attention and spending time? Not because the authority or title of the authority, how famous it is, or not because he is not famous, he is not well known, he has no title to authorize him to speak about the Quran and religion, because he did not have any quality at all, because he didn't know how to read and write a Latin alphabet, because he was educated in Kurdistan, and it wasn't really in use that time in Kurdistan, and it was newly introduced. Most of the people didn't know how to read and write, and Nursi became one of those illiterate people according to the standard official formal criterion. Illiterate man. How can I take the books that you wrote seriously? This is just, Nursi says, yes, I am nothing. I don't claim anything. Every virtue that you may find if you seriously study the risale-i Nur belongs to the Quran. I am just really trying to transfer it into your language at the level that common people can understand. So disregard me, that is right, but do not disregard the work I am presenting to you, because it is serving the Quran. That is the main message I got from the last text. So next time we can follow from the second chapter of the 29th flash. It is a good one.
Inshallah, next time. Thank you. All right, so we can stop here. Next time, inshallah, as Brother Ali said, we can start from the second chapter of the 29th flash. Do you still have, brother, any comment? All right. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma alamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi hurmati suratul Fatiha. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for